Leader.
Mr. President, I want the American people to understand exactly what's happening right now with Senate Republicans and their so-called big, beautiful bill. Senate Republicans are trying to pull a fast one on the American people. For weeks, they've struggled with the reality that most people hate this bill. Leadership has struggled to secure votes among their own ranks who know how bad the bill is. And now they've scrambled to meet an entirely arbitrary deadline. So what did the Republicans do late last night? Hard to believe. This bill is worse, even worse, than any draft we've seen this far. It's worse on health care. It's worse on SNAP. It's worse on the deficit. At the very last minute, Senate Republicans made their bill even more extreme to cater to the radicals in the House and Senate. Republicans are about to move forward with a radical 1,000-page bill just made public in the last several hours without knowing how many trillions it will cost. They don't even want to know a CBO score. They're afraid to show how badly this will increase the deficit. On this bill, a major bill that affects every part of American life, hiding the CBO scores in defiance of their own promises to cut the debt. Deficit hawks out there on the Republican side in the House and Senate. This bill makes the debt worse and the deficit worse, even worse than before. Generations, future generations will be saddled with trillions in debt. Debt is abstract, but what does it mean for the average American? Raising your costs to buy a home, raising your costs to buy a car, raising your costs on credit card bills. And why are they doing all this? Why are they doing the biggest Medicaid cuts in history? Now it's getting close to $1 trillion just in Medicaid alone. All to cut taxes for the ultra-rich and special interests. And they did it while most Americans were asleep. It is astounding that this is the product Senate Republicans have come up with. Because for weeks, they kept saying they were going to somehow strengthen Medicaid, that they'd moderate, quote unquote, the House clean energy cuts, that nobody would lose benefits. Well, all of that has gone out the window. Those supposed moderates on the other side are falling like dominoes, ready to move on a bill that does precisely the opposite of what they claim. Many Republican senators have admitted they're not happy with this bill. One said it will take away health care from working people, and yet there's still a yes on this bill. If Republican senators are not happy with this bill because they know how badly it hurts their constituency, they should vote no. After all, they're United States senators. They have the power to vote however they want. Did they forget that was an option? Are they also afraid that they can't do what they know is the right thing for the American people? Just incredible, incredible. After weeks of hemming and hawing from Republicans, the bill they are ready to proceed with is the most extreme version of their bill yet. I guess when push comes to shove, leave it to Republicans to cave to their hard right flank. Under this draft, Republicans will take food away from hungry kids to pay for tax breaks to the rich. All the data shows Democrats don't like it, independents don't like it, and Republicans don't like cutting SNAP, taking food away from kids, all to pay for tax breaks for the wealthy. The SNAP cuts, and I'm sure we'll hear from Senator Klobuchar shortly, are every bit as bad as in the House, the worst in history ever. Those cuts are cruel. Those cuts are un-American. But it's what Republicans are getting ready to do. Meanwhile, Medicaid, where they've had so much controversy and back and forth, Medicaid will be fed to the sharks under this bill. In fact, we just got the news that CBO said the Medicaid cuts in this version are worse than any version of the Republican bill to date. Nearly $1 trillion in cuts, just to Medicaid alone. And there are more cuts for ACA and Medicare. Let me repeat. This version of the bill cuts nearly $1 trillion in Medicaid alone, worse than any version we have seen so far. $930 billion to be precise. And that does not count the many billions and billions and billions more in cuts to ACA and Medicare. far worse than anything we have seen so far. The tiny tweaks that Republicans made to provide the provider to the provider tax will still decimate state budgets and do nothing to protect hospitals in the coming years. And what about the rural hospital fund Republicans have spent the last few days touting? It's a drop in the bucket. This rural hospital fund is a fig leaf. It's like putting a Band-Aid over an amputation and sending the patient home. When the rural hospitals start closing, just remember, the residents of those hospitals, the people who work in those hospitals, it's because of these cuts and no other reason. Rural hospitals, many of them will close. This Band-Aid ain't enough to cover even a small percentage of them. And healthcare cuts will go up for healthcare costs will go up for everyone, even if you don't have Medicaid, even if you don't have ACA, even if you don't have Medicare. Your private insurance will go up dramatically every month. People hate paying those health insurance premiums. They're going to pay a lot more under this bill. And why are they doing all this? Why are they doing all this? We know why. Tax breaks for billionaires. Tax breaks for billionaires. And now, let's talk about another subject, the clean energy changes Republicans made last night. Frankly, I don't think even most Republicans realize just how radical these last-minute changes are. They are drafted to do one thing, to kill all wind and solar. All wind and solar. Solar, the cheapest way to produce new energy, the quickest way to produce new energy. We need more energy. AI is going to take up a lot of energy. If we don't have new sources of energy, all new sources, guess what? People's electricity bills will go up and up and up. When it comes to clean energy, the Republicans basically reverted and somehow exceeded the extreme policies that came out of the House. For days, they worked to modify those provisions, many Republicans, to make them less bad. Now they're made even worse. And these are policies, by the way, plenty of Senate Republicans said they were going to change under this new draft. Clean energy projects in wind and solar will now need to be placed in service, not begun, in less than 2 years from now in order to qualify for a tax break. And the provisions related to Chinese involvement, which of course we want to fight against China, but the best way to fight against China is have a robust solar industry. China's going to run the whole solar industry for the world. And if you think they're not going to make Americans pay more as Chinese customers pay less, forget it. But anyway, on the provisions related to China, they made them almost unmanageable. It's going to kill nearly every wind and solar project out there because the standard is laughably unrealistic. What does it mean? Projects already in the works will shut down. It means that people will lose their jobs. It's estimated 840,000 jobs. Add that to the healthcare jobs. Wow. Americans will pay hundreds of dollars extra a year on electricity as soon as the next year. Thanks to the Senate Republicans caving into big oil, it will be China, not the United States, that will likely becomes the world leader in energy production in the years to come. Self-destructive, needless, harmful to both our economic and national security. And it just shows how tight big oil's grip is on Senate Republicans. Remember, 80% of these clean energy investments, my colleagues, have gone to Republican districts. The investments support, as I said, over 800,000 jobs. Republicans are so beholden to the fossil fuel industry, they'd rather kill jobs in their own communities than upset the big oil lobby. Disgusting, shameless, and done, of course, while most Americans were asleep. So again, Republicans are trying to pull a fast one on the American people. Republicans are pulling a fast one even on their own members, and certainly on their own constituents. This will hurt the reddest of states badly. If Republicans proceed, Senate Democrats will hold them to account. We'll gear up for another night of vote-a-rama very soon. We'll expose this bill piece by piece. We will show how it cuts health care, raises costs, rewards the ultra-rich. We welcome this debate. And if Republicans proceed and follow Donald Trump over the cliff, with this bill tied to their ankles like an anvil, they will not only doom their own communities, they will doom their political fortunes, their own political fortunes, and have no one to blame but themselves. I yield the floor. Note the absence of a quorum.